Imagine myths aren't just stories whispered around campfires, but echoes of real-world horrors, so profound they warp our understanding of existence. What if the legends of apocalyptic plagues and societal collapse weren't purely fictional? Consider this. History holds events that are more terrifying and transformative than any dragon slain or god angered. The Black Death, a name that itself sounds like a curse from ancient lore, was one such event. It wasn't a mythical beast, but an invisible enemy far more devastating, sweeping across continents. It painted a real-world tableau of societal unraveling previously only imagined in the darkest myths. Think of it as a true historical apocalypse, a moment when the foundations of the known world seemed to crumble. This wasn't just about sickness and death on an unprecedented scale. It was a societal earthquake, reshaping everything from the labor we perform to the very structures of power and belief. The plague didn't just kill millions. It birthed a new world from the ashes of the old, a world fundamentally different from what came before. Its impact reverberates even in our modern lives, shaping the contours of our societies in ways you might never have considered. Prepare to journey beyond the surface of history books. Uncover the startling ways this catastrophe reshaped human destiny. We'll explore how the Black Death became a brutal sculptor of civilization, carving new paths for society, economy, and even the human spirit. You'll gain a deeper understanding of not just the past, but the very forces that continue to mold our world today, revealing the astonishing legacy of this real-world myth. Building on the chilling premise, realize that when we speak of myths depicting societal collapses, we aren't just engaging in fanciful storytelling. History itself offers narratives far exceeding the wildest tales. The Black Death is not merely a chapter in a textbook. It's a real-world saga of devastation and transformation that resonates with the dramatic power of ancient myths. Imagine 14th century Europe, a world structured by rigid hierarchies, devout faith, and agrarian life suddenly confronted by an invisible terror. Ships arriving in port were not harbingers of trade, but vectors of unimaginable suffering. This wasn't a localized outbreak. It was a pandemic that tore through continents, decimating populations with terrifying speed and efficiency. To truly grasp its impact, visualize maps of Europe lighting up region by region as the plague spread, a grim wildfire consuming civilization. The Black Death wasn't just about mortality rates. Although those were staggering, it was about the unraveling of a societal fabric. Existing systems of labor, governance, and belief were thrown into chaos. The very foundations of medieval life were shaken to their core. This content aims to delve into this multifaceted upheaval. We'll explore not just the death toll, but the ripple effects that transformed economies, societies, and even the human psyche. Consider this exploration as a journey to understand a critical turning point. We often study history as a series of dates and events, but the Black Death demands a deeper look. It forces us to confront fundamental questions about human resilience, societal vulnerability, and the unpredictable forces that shape our destiny. We need to understand not just what happened, but how it reshaped the world, and why its echoes are still felt today. Let's unearth these crucial insights together. The Black Death's profound impact is just the tip of the iceberg. Ready to explore more history-altering events and understand our world's deep roots? Subscribe now for in-depth historical journeys and join the discussion in the comments below. Share your insights, ask your burning questions. Your voice and experiences enrich our understanding. Let's learn and explore the echoes of history together. To truly grasp the Black Death's transformation, consider it a real-world myth unfolding. Our goal: to dissect its impact like deciphering an ancient prophecy. First, visualize the sheer scale of death. Imagine mythical tales of underworlds overflowing. The plague's mortality rates were similarly staggering. Step 1. Research population decline maps of 14th century Europe. See the cities shrink, the villages vanish. This visual impact is key. Next, delve into the economic earthquake. Think of myths where curses bring famine and scarcity. The plague created a labor void, flipping the economic script. Landowners faced ruin. Laborers gained leverage. Step 2. Explore examples of wage increases and price inflation post-plague. Understand how this economic reshuffling echoes mythical tales of societal upheaval and resource wars. Then, analyze the social tremors. Myths often depict rebellions against gods or kings. The Black Death weakened the church's authority and ignited peasant revolts. Step 3. Investigate the English Peasants' Revolt or similar uprisings. See how societal hierarchies, once seemingly immutable, began to crack, mirroring mythical narratives of power shifts and rebellions against established orders. Finally, contemplate the cultural response. Myths are born from existential anxieties, particularly around death. The memento mori art and literature emerging from the plague are real-world manifestations of humanity grappling with mortality, just as myths do. Step 4. Examine artwork and writings from the period. See how the obsession with death became a new cultural mythos, shaping art and thought for generations. Through these steps, the Black Death's mythical weight becomes profoundly real. Why is understanding the Black Death, a historical catastrophe seemingly relegated to textbooks, suddenly crucial now? Because we are living in an age grappling with global-scale anxieties, mirroring the very societal pressures that the plague unleashed. Consider the recent pandemic, lockdowns, economic disruptions, and a pervasive sense of uncertainty. These echoes of historical pandemics are not coincidental. They are reflections of enduring human vulnerabilities. The core problem is a collective amnesia about the profound transformative power of pandemics. We tend to view history in neat, compartmentalized sections, failing to recognize the deep, systemic shifts that events like the Black Death trigger. We focus on the mortality rate, but miss the societal metamorphosis. This knowledge gap leaves us ill-prepared to understand, let alone navigate, the long-term consequences of global crises, whether health-related, environmental, or societal. Understanding the Black Death, framed as a real-world myth of societal collapse and rebirth, provides a vital historical lens. It reveals patterns in human behavior, societal resilience, and systemic vulnerabilities that are strikingly relevant today. By studying this mythic past event, we gain crucial insights into how societies fracture, adapt, and ultimately transform under immense pressure. In an era of increasing global interconnectedness and systemic risks, learning from the Black Death isn't just academic. It's a pragmatic necessity for building more resilient and adaptable societies now and in the future. Ignoring this historical myth is at our peril. To understand the Black Death's mythical transformation, we need to grasp key concepts. First, consider demographic catastrophe. Imagine losing a third to half your population in years. This isn't legend, it's documented. Mortality rates reach 60% in some areas. Visualize a population pyramid collapsing. The base shrinks drastically. What happens when entire generations vanish? Second, grasp economic shock. Think of myths depicting sudden famines. The plague created a radical labor shortage. Suddenly, workers were scarce, land abundant, wages skyrocketed, some doubled or tripled. Conversely, prices inflated. Imagine the economic system completely inverted. How would this upheaval reshape society's structure? Third, consider social disruption. Myths often feature challenges to authority. The church, a pillar of medieval society, couldn't explain or stop the plague. Faith faltered. Social hierarchies faced strain. Peasant revolts erupted. Visualize the social order cracking under immense pressure. Could established power structures withstand such chaos? Fourth, understand cultural reorientation. Myths grapple with mortality. Post-plague art fixated on death. The memento mori emerged. Skeletons and decay dominated imagery. Imagine a culture saturated with reminders of death's inevitability. How does such a profound confrontation with mortality alter cultural values and expressions? Finally, consider rudimentary public health. While understanding was limited, quarantine emerged as a response. Cities isolated the sick. Though based on flawed theories, it was a nascent form of public health. Visualize early attempts to control the invisible enemy. Did even these primitive measures signal a shift towards collective action against disease? These concepts form the bedrock for understanding the Black Death's truly mythical impact. Let's apply these Black Death lessons to today's world. Consider demographic catastrophe. We face aging populations in some nations and migration crises globally. Applying the Black Death's demographic shock lesson means proactive urban planning and resource allocation. Challenge: how do we manage shrinking workforces or sudden population influxes? Strategy: learn from post-plague labor shifts, invest in automation, adaptable workforces, and robust social safety nets. Economic shock: echoes in modern financial crises. Challenge: inflation, unemployment, supply chain breakdowns. Sound familiar? Applying the Black Death's economic upheaval lesson means building economic resilience. Strategy: diversify economies, strengthen social safety nets, and prepare for rapid economic restructuring, just as post-plague societies adapted. Social disruption resonates with contemporary social unrest. Challenge: erosion of trust, social polarization. Applying the Black Death's social fracture lesson means prioritizing social cohesion. Strategy: invest in community building, strengthen social safety nets, and foster dialogue across divides. Lessons from post-plague social reforms. Cultural reorientation is vital for post-pandemic recovery. Challenge: collective trauma, mental health crises. Applying the Black Death's cultural shift lesson means fostering societal healing. Strategy: support mental health services, invest in arts and cultural expressions that process trauma and rebuild collective identity, mirroring the post-plague artistic responses. Finally, rudimentary public health teaches us about pandemic preparedness. Challenge: global health security, vaccine hesitancy. Applying this lesson means strengthening global health infrastructure and promoting public health literacy, ensuring we are better prepared than 14th century societies. Learning from the Black Death isn't just history. It's a toolkit for navigating modern societal challenges. To reach a climax in understanding the Black Death's mythical transformation, we need to examine advanced strategies of societal adaptation illustrated by pivotal historical shifts. Consider the advanced economic strategy that emerged, the decline of feudalism and the rise of early capitalism. Post-plague England saw a shift from agrarian feudalism to a more market-based economy. Case study: the English wool trade boom. Labor scarcity drove innovation and specialization, creating new economic engines beyond traditional agriculture. This wasn't just economic recovery. It was a fundamental systemic upgrade. For advanced social strategies, observe the changing power dynamics. The Black Death inadvertently fostered social mobility. Case study: the weakening of the Church's absolute authority. The inability of religious institutions to explain or halt the plague spurred questioning and dissent, indirectly contributing to later religious reforms and the rise of secular thought. This wasn't just social unrest. It was a genesis of altered power structures and intellectual liberation. Finally, for advanced cultural strategies, note the Renaissance. While indirectly linked, the Black Death's trauma and subsequent societal restructuring created a fertile ground for cultural rebirth. Case study: Florence in the 15th century. The focus on humanism, art, and science after a period fixated on death suggests a societal pivot towards valuing earthly life and human potential. This wasn't just artistic expression. It was a profound reorientation of societal values, leading to an intellectual and artistic explosion. These advanced strategies, born from catastrophe, reveal the Black Death not just as a tragedy, but a crucible forging a new world order. To solidify the Black Death's transformative impact, consider research confirming its profound effects. Historian Guido Alfani's demographic studies, for example, demonstrate a clear, sharp decline in European populations during the mid-14th century, with some regions experiencing losses exceeding 50%. This isn't just an estimate. It's data derived from meticulous analysis of tax records, parish registers, and archaeological evidence. These numbers paint a stark picture of demographic devastation, the bedrock of societal change. Economic historians like Robert Brenner argue that the Black Death fundamentally altered European labor relations. Wage data from manorial accounts reveals significant increases in peasant wages post-plague. This wasn't simply inflation. It was a structural shift in bargaining power, a direct consequence of labor scarcity. Expert economic analysis supports the claim of a weakening feudal system, driven by the plague's demographic impact. Sociologist Perry Anderson, in his analysis of European feudalism's decline, highlights the Black Death as a critical accelerant. While feudalism was already facing internal pressures, Anderson argues that the plague acted as a catastrophic demolition, dismantling the existing agrarian order. This expert sociological perspective underscores the plague's role in reshaping social hierarchies and power structures. Art historians note the shift in artistic themes post-Black Death. Millard Meiss's work, for instance, emphasizes the emergence of art of death. Paintings and sculptures preoccupied with mortality and decay. This wasn't just a stylistic change. It was a cultural reflection of collective trauma and a societal grappling with death on an unprecedented scale. The art itself becomes anecdotal evidence of the plague's psychological impact. Moreover, epidemiological models, while acknowledging the limitations of historical data, corroborate the plague's rapid and widespread transmission. Modern simulations, based on bubonic plague characteristics and 14th century conditions, illustrate how quickly such a disease could decimate populations lacking effective public health measures. This scientific perspective reinforces the plausibility of the Black Death's catastrophic reach. Finally, consider anecdotal accounts from the time, such as Boccaccio's Decameron. While literary, it reflects contemporary observations of societal breakdown, social upheaval, and the psychological toll of the plague. These first-hand narratives, combined with quantitative data and expert analysis, build a compelling case for the Black Death as a truly transformative, history-altering event, deserving its mythic weight in human consciousness. Let's tackle those lingering questions. Remember when we wondered if myths could truly reflect real-world horrors? The Black Death proves they can. History offers tragedies exceeding fiction. And about the scale of impact? Think about this. Historians like Alfani pinpoint population drops of over 50% in places. Imagine half the people you know gone. That's not just a bad year. It's a societal reset button. Some might still doubt if a medieval plague truly reshaped our world. Economic historian Robert Brenner's wage data shows peasant pay literally doubling. That's not just inflation, folks. That's a power shift. Sociologist Anderson calls the Black Death a catastrophic demolition of feudalism. Strong words, backed by evidence. It wasn't just death, it was a systemic overhaul. And about the Renaissance connection, art historian Meiss points to the surge of art of death, then followed by the explosion of humanism and life-affirming art. It's like society collectively processed trauma and then swung hard in the other direction, valuing life anew. Even modern epidemiologists confirm the plague's rapid spread was plausible given the conditions. So, the doubts? They fade when you see the sheer weight of evidence. The Black Death wasn't just a plague. It was a pivotal moment, its echoes still shaping us now. Actionable insight, history, even the darkest parts, holds vital lessons for today. Let's recap the seismic impact of the Black Death. It wasn't just a historical tragedy. It was a catalyst for profound societal transformation, mirroring the epic upheavals depicted in myths. We saw how demographic collapse triggered economic restructuring, how social hierarchies fractured, and how culture grappled with mortality, birthing new artistic and philosophical expressions. The plague wasn't just about death. It was about rebirth and reinvention on a societal scale. Now, What can you do with this understanding? Firstly, delve deeper. Explore primary sources, accounts from the time, artwork, and economic records. Secondly, connect these historical lessons to today's world. Analyze current events, pandemics, economic shifts, social unrest, through the lens of the Black Death's transformative power. Recognize the patterns, anticipate the potential long-term consequences, and apply historical wisdom to contemporary challenges. The benefit is clear. Understanding the Black Death equips you with a powerful historical perspective. It's not just about knowing the past. It's about understanding the enduring dynamics of societal change. It's about recognizing resilience, adaptation, and the potential for transformation even in the face of immense crisis. This knowledge empowers you to navigate our own complex world with greater insight and foresight. Ready to continue this historical journey? Dive into further research, spark discussions with others about these profound lessons, and most importantly, keep questioning and exploring. History is not just a story of the past. It's a living, breathing source of wisdom for shaping a more resilient and informed future. Join the ongoing conversation. Your engagement deepens our collective understanding. The Black Death, viewed through the lens of mythology, ceases to be just a historical event. It transforms into a stark myth of societal mortality and rebirth, a real-world apocalypse that irrevocably altered the human story. Remember, myths aren't just fantastical tales. They are echoes of profound human experiences, magnified and passed down through time. The Black Death, in its devastating and transformative power, is history echoing with the force of myth. Let the lessons of this historical upheaval resonate beyond mere academic interest. Understand that societies, like individuals, can face moments of near collapse, yet possess an astonishing capacity for adaptation and renewal. The echoes of the Black Death are a testament to both our fragility and our enduring resilience. As you continue to explore history, remember this profound lesson. Even from the ashes of devastation, new worlds can and do emerge. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep seeking the deeper narratives within the grand tapestry of human history. For within these stories, often mirroring the power and drama of myth, lie the keys to understanding not only where we come from, but also who we are and what we might become. The past is not a dead echo. It's a living conversation, and your voice in that conversation matters.